that was probably the only time this year, because that was back in January or February.
It was February, I think.
It was February, I think. Yeah.
And it literally has been the only time this year where I was crying, laughing, like to the point where my stomach was like cramped, and we were crying, like hysterical crying.
Good morning. This is KT Confidential, episode 105. I'm here with my co-host, Ariel Cormendi, and partner and neighbor, and second-time guest, Joanna Venditti.
Third
time. Oh my God. You're the first third-time guest.
Yeah, that makes me happy. I feel special.
Although it is the first time since you've been official as a KT employee.
Yes, you need one of those buttons like with the sound effects, the cheering.
All of a sudden the cheering comes in.
Yeah. I'm so excited. That makes me so happy to be part of the team officially.
As are we. You've been making appearances over the course of the last, I guess, about a year roughly. And it's funny because not long ago, before we had made it official, I think even before we maybe knew it was official, a local realtor had said to me something along the lines of, "Oh, I see that Joanna has joined your team."
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then
although I wonder, Adrian, if that was almost a little bit, because the backstory is that person actually applied to be a realtor on our team.
Yes.
And
can you hear all that in the background?
Yes. Are my kids at your house?
That's quite possible.
So she applied to be on our team, and well, we won't get into that too much, but obviously she's not a part of our team. And so I'm wondering if she thought, "Oh, you hired her instead of me. Like, why did you hire her?"
I don't suspect so, because she knew she had no idea that Joanna was even working on her license. So I think she felt that we had just added Joanna in a different capacity.
Right, which we have.
Yes. But anyways, I thought it was really interesting. So I guess you had made enough appearances that somebody thought you were part of the team. So it was just meant to be. She was foreshadowing what was to come.
And some people in my world too, they were suspecting it too. They were like, something's going on there. Yeah. In the best way.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
It was a teaser of sorts. So for those of you listening, again, welcome to episode 105 of KT Confidential, the real estate podcast. We've got Joanna Venditti. She'll give us a little bit of her bio or history, maybe touch on nesting story, and her kind of new venture now, as we just announced a couple of weeks ago that she has joined the KT team as our marketing manager. And during this process, she is also in school through Humber College, taking the real estate courses to obtain her license to become a realtor on the team. And we're kind of projecting third quarter of 2021. She's going to be a licensed realtor on the team. So maybe we'll take a step back and let you take a bit of the floor, and you can introduce yourself once again, I guess now as an official member, and maybe talk to us. Tell us about the why KT, and why the marketing manager, and then why real estate? Why real estate? Why you want to be a realtor? Why with us? How did this all transcribe? Like, what? Go.
Okay. So first, my bio. So like a quick about me is I have 4 kids, ages 11, 9, going on 19, like full on into like heading into teenage years quickly with those 2, and then twin girls who are 6. I have lived in Milton for over 13 years and really love the town. And I have built, so I am, and what had a career as an interior designer and worked both in hospitality and then residential interior design, and then decided to start my own interior design company, Nesting Story. And in that, I really love the blogging side, but after having my twins, switched it over to more of like a lifestyle personal blog with still the home stuff in there. And it exploded almost immediately. And I've been building that ever since, and my YouTube channel. And so it's kind of taken twists and turns over the years. And as life changes, I am recently divorced too. So that's a new change, but it's a great new chapter. And I have really found over the last, I'd say 2 years, that I was kind of like, what's next? As my kids are getting older, I used to be one of the main contributors for Baby Center and talk a lot about parenting when my kids were younger. But as they've got older, it's been really important for me to create more privacy for them and focus more on lifestyle and home. And I've done coaching. I've done a lot of helping with marketing and social media for other businesses and done some of their management. And I get that request a lot. And I kind of had to, like, especially when COVID hit, I had to shut that down and just focus on, like, really focus on what's next and really understand. It helped me clarify what I want for my next chapter and kind of take away the noise and stuff. So something that through my love of homes, and I've just really always loved real estate. I have a best friend who, that's literally our hobby, is just sending listings back and forth, sitting beside each other, just scrolling through, and this is what I do with this house, and this is what I do with that house. And it's always been in the back of my mind to get into real estate. And then you guys contacted me about over a year ago. And we started to kind of work on projects, and we all kind of clicked. And I have two older, I don't know if I've ever told you this, I have two older brothers, and you kind of remind me of them. Like, it's like this kind of funny, just fun relationship with all of us. And I've got to know your wives too on social media. So that's been really nice. And it's just felt
whoa. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Ariel's like, wait a minute.
Wait,
what's going on?
We do some chit chatting. Not about you guys. Don't worry. Mostly about like. What?
There was no formal introduction here. I know Natalie's been trying to get you on the Zaya clothing.
Yeah, she sent me a cute shirt. Yes, I love it. But I think just like here and there, I've had, that tends to happen a lot. I find like I'll, I don't know, if I know someone, then I'll find out. I don't know. It's nice. That's what I love about, especially Instagram and women, is we'll tend to like be able to start up a conversation over something like a meme we shared or what we ate for breakfast or something like that. So all good people. And then your team.
People know what you had for breakfast. I find that hard to believe.
And now what you have for breakfast.
Were there blueberries involved, perhaps?
And I like just got rid of the eggs for breakfast, which people are like, what's happening? You changed it. So, yeah, but no, it's so like, it's just like everything just clicked, I think, from the beginning. And then with your team, just so amazing. And then just this kind of like, I've really missed, because when creating Nesting Story has been amazing. And I would get a lot of my social, my social tank filled by going to events or speaking at conferences, but I was really craving more and more working with a team. And that was, aside from wanting to get into real estate and feeling like naturally that was a really good transition for me and next phase to still incorporate Nesting Story into that as well. It's not going anywhere. But to really be a part of a team again and be around people who make you laugh and have fun, but then challenge you and you can grow and things like that, that was really important to me. And that became very, very clear when the pandemic hit. And I really was like, this is something that I really think as my kids get older and everything, that will be really great for me and my family and everything. So there's like a lot of different reasons. And I think the biggest one, it was just such a natural fit. And the interesting thing is too, is when we were starting to talk about this, I was also being approached by a couple other big opportunities from people. And I had these I could have gone down these different paths, not real estate. Well, actually one of them did have to do with real estate, but it was really exciting to be able to kind of have these different options for my next chapter and be like, you know what, like I have a lot of fun with these guys and they're a really good team. And I just want to this is where it just feels like a natural fit. So that's that.
That's exciting. I think a lot of people get especially after they've been doing one particular thing for an extended period of time, they have tunnel vision and that's all they know and that's all they do. And I think it becomes monotonous after a while. I think it's really important to be open to big changes, whether it's implementing something completely new, whether that's career related or a hobby, whatever. And I think it's exciting that you're exploring that, and we're excited to have you join us. So it should be it'll be an interesting next year between all the stuff that's going on and you doing your courses.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So again, for those of you watching or listening, you can follow Joanna directly at Nesting Story. And she's actually going to be taking you on a bit of the journey and vlogging and blogging and doing some Insta stories and all that revolving around her process of going through schooling for becoming a realtor and the process of working with us and working with the team. And
hold on, do that again. I'm taking a picture for Instagram right now.
But I have to say, and you've told this story on your Insta stories, the shoot that we did just after your grandmother passed, and you've talked about that story about how we were just laughing like uncontrollable. Like that was probably the only time this year, because that was back in January or February.
It was February, I think.
It was February, yeah. I think. Yeah.
And it literally has been the only time this year where I was crying, laughing, like to the point where my stomach was like cramped and we were crying, like hysterical crying.
Yeah.
And I remember you were because you were going through the house and doing some kind of quick tips and design tips with Ian, and that's where some of your followers and our followers said, hey, there's something going on there. Well, I remember, and I don't know, Adrian, if you remember that, but Ian and Joanna were in the family room where the fireplace was, doing a clip in there, and I pulled you aside and I said, I really like her. There's something here. And ever since that day, individually, we've each had conversations with each other about things that basically led us to today. So this wasn't a spur of the moment decision. And this is something that I think, when your gut tells you that something is good, that you kind of just got to go with your gut. And for us, it was a gut decision. I think it was a bit for you based on what you just said. So we're really, really happy and proud that you're now a member of the team. We're very excited for what's going to come down the path, not only with your marketing skills to help us grow that kind of department in the next 6 to 8 months, but then obviously to turn you into a high-performing realtor that's going to be able to serve all of those wonderful followers that watch and listen to you.
Yeah, I'm excited. And that day, too, for me was very pivotal because, like you said, just before we started filming, I got a text from my dad saying my grandmother passed away. And it was kind of expected, and it was like, okay, it's okay. Let's just, get on with the show. And we ended up just like laughing. Like we were like, I got to take a breath. I can't even look at, because we had to like try to get straight faces for the next take. And it was just it was like the perfect medicine that day. So I think for me too, I was like, because I've been in really terrible situations, work situations before. And just to know that like a day that could have been terrible was actually like a great day. That's huge. That was really big. So Yeah,
And
it was very
that was the
frustrating.
first time we ever did anything together in terms of filming.
Yeah, was that first day?
That
Yeah.
was like new for all of us, not even with regards to working together, but we had never really done any video along those lines. Like we were trying to get
never let anybody into our space is basically what
right.
you're saying. Yeah.
Well, even just the concept of trying to create that particular type of video for a house, like that was relatively new, just trying to create more of a story and a show behind it to a degree. So there's a lot of new stuff going on at that time. It worked out well.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So,
and now I'm in school. Now I'm a student.
Well, now, so hang on. So like you're recently divorced. You've got Oliver there behind you. So you've got a dog, you've got 4 kids.
Yeah.
You've got Nesting Story, which is still a big part of your life. You've taken on now a marketing role within the organization, which I want to touch on a bit as well in a few minutes. And on top of all of that, why not throw school in so you can get a license to become a realtor? And it's not a previously it was run by the Ontario Real Estate Association, and it's not a governed thing. It's just the Real Estate Association puts out their courses, but now it's mandated through Humber College. So it's an actual college facilitated course, and there's 5 courses within that program, and it's quite extensive. So you're about 50% of the way through the first course, right?
I think I'm closer to like 65% now. My goal is to maybe write that first test next week, like be ahead.
Wow.
But I'm like, no, I'm kind of trying to get ahead when I can. And then that way it'll give me room in case there's times where I need to slow it down. But
so how does Joanna do it?
How do I do it all?
Aspiring entrepreneur. Yes.
Okay, well, the first thing I'll say is like, and I would never wish this on anybody, but at the same time, I'm really, in hindsight, very glad it happened to me, is like my marriage ending over a year ago ended in a spectacular fashion and basically leveled me. And it was like it was a situation where it just really like it just kind of destroyed me. And it was like, I've been like kind of like a phoenix rising from that. So I feel like that for me has changed the way I see life and what I can handle and what's important and what's not and how strong I am. And so when it's a lot of things, but I also know that I focus on what I really need to do. And I'm very good at kind of checking with myself and kind of managing it all. So with Nesting Story, I've been able to kind of, because I've been doing what I'm doing for so long, I've got it down to kind of a science. I've built it for so long that I don't have to work as many hours as I did 5 years ago. And I, to edit a video used to take me 4 or 5 hours, and it takes me now like an hour, if that. So I have things down to a science with that, and I really enjoy it. It's kind of like a hobby for me. I'll go on these long walks and share my life with people, and so I know that's something that I'm very lucky to have a job that is also works its way into just life, and so that's been great. Kids are good. My mom had 4 kids, and she compares it to spinning plates, and you get a wobbly plate, you got to straighten the plate. So right now I got 1 wobbly plate, and I'm kind of like switching hats. And when you have 4, the nice thing that happens is that you don't overanalyze everything. So when I had 1 kid, if there was like a bit of time, I'd be like feeling guilty that I didn't sing another song or read another book when they're little. Where once, 3 and 4 come along, they kind of get with the program and they know there's other kids in line and they entertain each other. So, but then I know like I'm pretty good at kind of like triaging them and seeing who needs what. They're all in school too, so that's helpful. And they've got a babysitter on hand. So for example, like I have help. That's the thing, is like I have a babysitter who comes. She's coming today for an hour to help my daughter with her book report, save me that time, because my daughter also and I we can be a bit like oil and water with that kind of thing. So, and then I recently felt like it was a lot one week. So then I hired a cleaning company to do all my bathrooms. So I try to kind of like, where I need help and things I can delegate, I do. I do have people that work for me for nesting stories, so they'll help me here and there with things. And then I take unnecessary things off my plate when I need to. But I've been doing these long walks right past the KT office every day and thinking how badly I wish I could just be walking there to work now. I can't with the pandemic, but I'm excited for that day. I'm totally gonna be that person pretending I'm in New York with my running shoes on and then switching to my heels when I get in there one day.
Ariel talked many times about riding his bike into work.
Oh, I'm totally going to be walking there. It's the same thing.
I've ridden my bike to work. It's been a while, but I've rollerbladed several times. I've walked a number of times. Most recently back in, when was it? August. On one of the hottest days of the summer, I had to take Natalie's car to the Toyota dealership, and I didn't feel comfortable taking the shuttle bus, the shuttle driver or whatever, to drive me home.
You walked from the dealership?
How many kilometers is that? Or how many kilometers is it from your office to your house?
From off 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more than 5. And then from the office to the dealership is another 6. So it's not too bad. 11 kilometers from home to the dealership. And I stopped at the office on the way. I enjoy walking from the office. Why are you laughing?
I would never do that.
Well, I know. Look at you.
I'm in great shape. I would just. Oh man.
Well, why wouldn't you? You know what? I throw on a podcast, and actually, I've been a big fan now this year of audiobooks.
Like, by the time you got to the office, your car was probably done.
No, what's funny though is you're close, because when I left, so here I am, stupid me. I packed my rollerblades and I put it in a backpack with a bottle of water, some snacks, and like, I'm talking blazing hot. It was like 32, 33 degrees, pure sun. And so when I walked to the dealership, I drove to the dealership. Obviously, I dropped off the car. And then when I walked back, I had my backpack with the rollerblades. And I said, okay, I'm going to walk halfway and then rollerblade the other way. Well, I didn't take into account that it's 32 degrees. The rollerblade, the bottle of water, the backpack, and everything, it was at least 30 pounds on my back. And I was just sweating buckets. I couldn't even make it to the office. Again, maybe 6 kilometers or so. Couldn't make it. So I sat down, I put my rollerblades on. Not a word of a lie. I go 2 blocks on my rollerblades and my feet start kind of slipping out. Like with the rollerblades, they just start going like this. And I'm like, okay, I haven't rollerbladed in a while, but something's not right here. And I keep going. And sure enough, within seconds, I almost fell flat on my face because the wheels had disintegrated.
Because they were that old?
They were that old and dry and like, they're 15-year-old rollerblades that hadn't been used in a couple of years. They were just sitting in storage. And I guess whatever, but literally they went and all of the rubber came off the wheels and I almost went flat on my face, right? Oh. So now I had to put the rollerblades back in
the car driving by at that moment.
You think it's funny, asshole? I was going by a construction site, okay, of a custom built home, a construction site, right? So I was going slowly and kind of looking. And as I'm looking at what they're doing to this home, the guys are looking at me. And that's when exactly when my wheels erupted. And so they all watched me tumble. All these construction guys watched me tumble. Anyway, so I had to put the rollerblades back in the backpack and walk all the way back home carrying these rollerblades because I didn't want to be the asshole that just dumps garbage in somebody's bin or whatever. So that was the last
Probably
time I
call
walked.
this poor guy. He needs a drive. He doesn't have a car. He must be hard up.
I honestly, I got back home and my legs were, like when you have a really good workout and your legs just tell you that was like insane. That was insane. That was a workout for me. But then the next day I had to pick the car up. And you know what? That walk was a breeze. I said, okay, I'm going to go early morning. It was a Saturday morning. I got one of my books, an audio book, up on Audible. And I think it's about a 2-hour walk. But it was nice. It was cool. I felt good. So yes, I enjoy walking. But Joanna has it easy. It's like a kilometer.
So the KT office is under 2 kilometers from my kids' school, so probably even less from my house. And then what I'll do is I'll walk past. I went to Starbucks yesterday, Mill Pond. I'll make it a 5K walk by the time I do my little thing and then go back home, 5K. But I was thinking yesterday, my walk with school and all of the things, I'm like, okay, my life's like a jar and marbles are my kids' housework, deadlines for work, and marketing stuff now with KT. And then when you pour water in there, that's school. So that's kind of the nice thing is I've really learned is like, I can sit down and do 5 minutes or I can do 3 hours. And as long as I kind of do it that way, I think that's why I'm moving through so quickly. Because initially I was doing, I would like set aside a day and then would get that done, but then a couple things would come up and there'd be a day or two and I wasn't doing any schoolwork. But now that I've started to treat it like anytime I have a chunk of time, like I'm just going to knock out another module. And it's been good. There's been moments, there was this one, the land title one so far for me was just like, oh, that one was a little bit long to get through, but I know I definitely gonna have to cram because I'm not one of those people that can read something or learn something and file it away, but I'm doing well on the little mini quizzes. So far, so good.
That's exciting. I find I'm really bad with like, even if I'm not in the mood to do something, like sometimes I go through phases where I'll just be sitting down here with a task that I know I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm so easily distracted and I can't get it done. And I find over the years, not until recently did I realize like, it's okay. Like if I'm not in the mood and I'm not being productive, it's okay not to sit there and twiddle my thumbs. And because I feel like I have to be there because I'm trying to be productive. I'm like, it's okay. You can go for a walk or you can go play a video game or you can go, do something else. And then, once you're back in the mood, you go back and you be more productive at it.
So Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think what we've learned now being in the business for over 9 years, because we've both been very bad at that, of feeling that guilt of not working, right? And growing our team and just being better entrepreneurs, we've learned that, yes, that's okay. And you can step away to better yourself, like better your day, better your health, better your mindset. And there's different things that everybody, like you just referred to playing a game, Adrian. For me, I just take the dog for a walk and throw on a podcast or an audio book or something, or listen to some tunes, go for a walk through the park. I come back, I got some fresh air, and it doesn't matter the weather either. Like it can be pouring rain or snowing or, deadly hot out, whatever. You step away, you come back. And we actually had this chat not that long ago that you said to me, I just feel unproductive today. And I think I said to you, well, just shut it down for the day, right? Like it was 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said, fuck it, just shut it down for the day. Come back tomorrow, recharged, refreshed, and regroup yourself. Like go take your kids to the park or, well, I don't know what you do now, but, go do some online shopping, go take a bubble bath in your hot tub, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Or are you going to
I
say,
think
Joanna?
it's really important.
Joanna, what were you going to say?
I don't remember, but I was going to say about what you just said. Like for me with nesting story, it's the same thing. And I find you can't, to try to kind of force it is hard and you have to take those breaks. But for me, so there's a couple things, like it's nice. I feel like I've been able to, it's nice working with a group of people now, because for nesting story, I'm so isolated. So it's all me having to, there's no other people to bounce it off of. So that's so nice to have a team to be like, I'm not feeling productive today, or I am. And just that kind of like that person to even say that to is so nice. But with school, something that I've found is I'll set a 30-minute timer, and it's like, hey, you got 30 minutes, do as much as you can, and then you get a break. And so I have like a pull, I do stretches with my back, and then I will maybe do squats, and then I'll go get a coffee or something, and then go back at it. So I've found just setting 30-minute timers are really good. But then also, like you're saying, those long walks with podcasts and listening to other people's ideas, sometimes even if it has nothing to do with what you're doing. Like I really have been into kind of interviews more that are like funny interviews with like more comedic people. And it's so funny that just kind of will refresh my brain. But
so you've been watching Katie or listening to Katie Confidential is what you're saying. All right, let's shift focus for a few minutes here. And obviously you're in school, you're juggling this all. We're glad to have you on board, blah, 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 blah. We've talked about it before a little bit, but you've got a new role. We've created a new role for you as the marketing manager of the team. We're actually, after this podcast, the three of us are going to have a meeting of the minds, and it actually will be our first meeting in regards to that aspect of our business. Why is that the path that we've gone down? Like, why is that obviously it's a bit natural progression for you because you've got that, but what did you like about the team from that aspect coming in? And you might as well come public with it and open book it. Where do you see what's been the hamster wheel in your mind? Like where do you see us going, and what's exciting you right now?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's such a natural thing. And that's the nice thing too, when we were talking about all the stuff I have on the go, is doing the marketing and diving into that creative side and that storytelling side and way to talk to the community. That doesn't feel like work to me. I can all of a sudden realize like, oh, like 4 hours have gone by and I've just really dove into this. It's just so enjoyable for me. But something right off the bat about you guys was, and I said this to you, I think the first podcast that we did in your office was, I'm like, you guys are also content creators. You really are. And I mean that in a way that's like, you are looking at it, I think you're marketing everything from, you want to create substance and you want to create value. And you both also, even when you were doing the intro, like you could be radio DJs the way you turn on the voice, but you kind of need to have that side sometimes to be able to pivot. And well, then this week in my deep dive, I found some gems. Oh man. Maybe you should link them. Do you have like...
I forget. Yeah, we'll put them in. I forgot those were public videos.
For all the listeners.
The real estate done right videos.
For those listeners out there, do I have a treat for you? I found some videos these guys did 7 years ago. And they're so good.
Like 7 years ago we did those videos. 7 years
ago.
Like most realtors didn't even have a fucking camera phone at that point, right? And we were putting out those videos.
They're really good. They're like, so it ticks all the boxes as a creator. So the editing's good. Your camera presence is good. You are adding value because there's actually really good tips in them. They're hilarious. So you have entertainment. So when I was going through like I knew this already, but then just this week doing this deep dive, I was like, oh, this is like there's so much good stuff, and we just like that's probably going to be my biggest problem, is having all of these ideas and us being like, okay, we're just going to pick these ones right now and focus it on that. But that was something big from the beginning too, is that you guys are content creators, and so to be able to come in, I think something that I can definitely bring to the table is a bit of a feminine energy too, because I think that will be an interesting kind of dynamic too with everything that we create. But I just think you're also so open to ways that you can take a content creator perspective and show homes or educate people about real estate or homes, and which I think a lot of people haven't done. So I'm excited to take what you've done and maybe layer on. It's not, because I think what you've already built is so awesome, and maybe add on maybe a bit more lifestyle in there, and just kind of like and showcasing some of the stuff I already know you have with these beautiful homes and inspiration for people. And kind of like, I think another thing too that I'd love to show more is Milton and the surrounding areas, in terms of just like the beauty that's here. Because on these walks I'm going on, I'm really like noticing even like the littlest things and big things and stuff. So just layering on just kind of a bit of lifestyle, a bit more of the geographical beautiful pockets that I think people don't know. And then and I also would love to showcase a bit more of the team's personality, and not just like talking to a camera personality, but like, what do these people do in the morning? What's your dog's name? Or where's your favorite place? Where's your secret spot in this area to go? Because hiring a realtor is such a huge decision, and it's such a personal decision, and you really need to like the person. And I think to some extent you have to have kind of like morals or values in line a bit to be able to have that person really get what you're looking for, or the kind of buyers you want and everything. So I think there's a lot of ways we can really layer things on. And then I have some ideas about different segments we could make, or that I would like to do with the houses that are listed, that are almost like an HGTV cribs feeling and stuff. So lots of, it's all built on like really amazing stuff that you've already created.
Well, the nice thing about now having you as an added layer of creative input is that the banter won't just be between Adrian and I anymore. It won't be us killing each other. We'll have a mediator.
Some people like that. We've had that comment many times. You're like an old married couple.
You are. It's cute.
Well, we kind of are, right? We kind of are. I've said that before. Like, if we didn't love our wives so much, we probably would be a gay couple, right?
We're an old married couple in the sense that we have shared finances to a degree because of the business. We sleep in different rooms, and we don't sleep together.
And we own a home together. Right. So it's pretty close as you can get, I suppose.
Yeah.
Adrian.
Yes.
What's new and exciting? You haven't said too much.
I'm a man of few words, and any of my family members will say that. But when I speak, I have things worth speaking of. It's funny as Joanna's talking, and she's talking about things that we've discussed in the past, and a lot of the ideas that we had never really came together for whatever reason. Just we never, some of them we just didn't act on. We've probably got so many and too many that we couldn't possibly get to them all at the same time. But now, as Joanna's coming on board, I'm excited at the thought of starting to implement more. One thing I was always a big advocate of, being in real estate, was educating people on the community. And I think there's so many people that don't have any idea what's even within walking distance, let alone a short drive. And so, videos and creating content to help people realize what the community is all about is really important. I think that's exciting. I've even wanted to do things like go as far as hosting events like hikes in the escarpment and stuff like that, and getting people involved and doing annual things. Like I'm a big, you may know, but I'm a big fan of Virgin, Richard Branson, and he does this thing called Virgin Strive. So every year they do this big event where it's a charitable thing and they go like hiking and cycling, and it's like a triathlon sort of with other elements in it. And I think stuff like that's really cool to think about doing, just getting people out in the neighborhood and the community.
That is cool.
I think, when people move into an area like Milton, and we'll say Milton specifically because that's where we are, all three of us right now. A lot of the people that move into Milton are from areas that potentially you wouldn't have visited Milton unless it was for something very specific, right?
Mhm.
Like
Remember
maybe
when
you
you
had,
moved here, didn't your friends say what they say?
did you move to a farm?
Right. And many people still
Because
think of it that way.
yeah, a lot of people think, what's in Milton? I don't want to move to Milton or whatever. But well, when we moved to Milton, you and I, and while Joanna wasn't far off from that, we were surrounded by farms and cows. And I remember right before I moved to Milton, my drive into work every day, you had cows on both sides of 25, basically. Whereas now it's all houses. But unless you even till today, unless you have a specific reason to come to Milton, you're not just coming to Milton to hang out. The average person, right? Like you're coming to visit a friend or a family member. You're going to Chudley's or whatever. You're coming for a specific reason. You're not getting to know the town intimately. And Milton is huge. Like you take Oakville and Burlington combined, and Milton is still bigger geographically. So you add things like all the conservation areas and the parks and the farms and the little things that you can do. And then, just the nature that exists, like the natural beauty of Milton. I think, there are stories to be told there, but, and then to
Sorry, go ahead. But walking to downtown Milton every day, it's amazing. It's gorgeous. I've had 3 people now message me saying, I've lived in Milton for 5-6 years and I've never gone downtown. I'm like, what are you doing?
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
What?
The restaurants, the pubs. And I live about a 4-minute drive from Glen Eden, and I'm a skier. My kids are skiers, and I'm 100% getting a season's pass and planning after school drop off, get in a couple runs, and then work. And I know, Adrian, you do that too. And I think people don't realize, and then you could go for hikes and everything. I think that you're right. A lot of people tend to go to Oakville or Burlington, and those are beautiful as well. But I think there's a lot of missed opportunity that I'd love to show people in Milton. Even just these walks I'm going on, it's things that if I hadn't been doing the same walk over and over again, I wouldn't have been noticing some of these spots and little areas. And now I'm making a note of, these are my bucket list restaurants I want to eat in next summer when hopefully COVID's not as rampant and everything. It's pretty amazing.
It's funny you say that because, and I promise to anybody listening, I won't talk about cottage again this year, but I'm a part of a Facebook group. I think maybe Adrian might be a part of the same one now. But for Our Lake, there's a Facebook group, and there's a gentleman that is always posting beautiful photos. And he posted something this morning that basically said, anytime he goes to his cottage, he never takes the same drive. And I found that interesting because he elaborated on that there's so much beauty in that drive up there. And it really got me thinking, because habitually I take Winston for a walk every morning, more or less the same time, from I leave 7:45, 8 o'clock every morning till about 9 o'clock. I go for an hour, sometimes as long as an hour and a half. That's my walk. I try and get in somewhere between 4 and 6.5 kilometers on my morning walk with him. And a lot of times, because of where we live, I guess, I just got into the habit of having that same walk with him, and it got boring. And then this morning, when I listened to or when I read that gentleman's post, I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? There's four or 5 kilometer walk. You got a lot of options to go, right? And even my drive into the KT studio this morning, I took a different drive. Like, I just detoured and went to, I think I went up John Street and across Bell Street, and then
sometimes
back
you're
down.
forced to because of all the construction lately.
Yeah, no shit, eh? But I noticed a new home being built, a new custom home being built that I hadn't seen yet, right? And I was like, wow, that's a really nice house. Like, you start seeing different things on that. So I think that's an important part of anywhere you live, is just capturing and you mentioned downtown, Joanna. I mean, like, how many times I've walked, because our office being right on Main Street, we would go and grab a coffee or walk up to a restaurant with a client or whatever. And like, the church just up the road here, what is it called? United Church or whatever. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, there's a couple beautiful ones. There's Knox Church too. Well,
The
then
Knox
that's
Church is beautiful.
I was doing a loop up to Tremaine all the time with my dog, or I would do this other loop behind the school. And then I started to go, I'm like, well, maybe I'll go walk downtown. I have to go through that construction under the railway tracks to get there. And I think that's what always deterred me before. And then the first time I did, I'm like, this is nothing. And now when I go, I try to go somewhere different each time. So I've been looping around all the different residential streets behind it. I'm like, okay, the next day I'm going to go grab a Starbucks and go here and everything. So I'm trying to kind of do the same walk, but cover different area each time and take note of different shops and restaurants, because there's just so much. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
I think a lot of people, they get caught up in their routine. So, first thing in the morning, they wake up, they get ready, they drive up Dairy to James Snow to the 401, go to work, come back, same route. Weekend comes around, cut their grass, have a barbecue, clean the house, go to bed. It's the same thing in and out. I think it'll be interesting to maybe come up with a way to challenge people to get out and do things out of their norm, get outside of their comfort zone, try new places, new businesses, new restaurants, go for walks in different areas.
Hey, I include myself in that, because I'm a victim of routine. I think being a parent, and Joanna will understand me a bit with the whole twin factor, with twins, young twins, balancing a career, having the dog, the house, the cottage, all these things. You have to have routines. If you don't have routines and schedules and things like that, you're screwed. But in between it is where you got to enjoy life. And if the one thing that I've taken out of this year, with all the crap that's gone on, is you have to make time to enjoy even the smallest things about your friends, your family, your coworkers, your job, but life in general. So there you have it, folks. Follow Joanna at Nesting Story. I think now I've finally got some of our team members and our spouses following you and watching your stories. They're addictive, right? And we've been watching and following you for a while now, and we're glad that you're going to be talking about this part of your journey in life, and us being a part of it now. So that's it. Episode 105, ladies and gentlemen. If you've followed and listened along so far and up till now, go ahead and subscribe, and make sure you follow us wherever you're streaming this podcast.
If you've made it this far, you must like it. So follow it.
You must leave a comment and tell us if you think Joanna's a good fit or not. No, I'm joking.
She's still in her probationary period.
Yes. Well, before we part, anything to add, Adrian?
No, that's it. I think it's a great segue to transition into our marketing meeting.
Joanna, anything to add?
Just thanks for having me and part of the team. I'm excited.
We are too. Episode 105. Thanks for listening, everybody. Again, KT Confidential, the real estate podcast. Ariel Cremendi, Adrian Trott, Joanna Venditti. We love you. Have a great week.